Mic check 1, 2. What's going on, everybody? Give me just a second. Having a technical difficulty. All right. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Let me know in the chat. Brian says it's working. Brian from Michigan. How you doing, my man? Welcome to the show. Yeah, I ended up didn't change some settings back in OBS from this week. I've been doing some testing out of some fun stuff, and yeah, had to update my microphone and my camera input to be the proper input in this case. And so I'm excited today. Hopefully you guys are too. Happy Friday for those who are joining us in the chat. Let me know where you're from. Appreciate the support. Like I said, if you want to support even more, feel free to do one of those super chat things. I don't know how it works, but feel free to do that as well to show your support. But we're here for another Free Show Friday. I'm Gary B. Jr., your media consultant. And I'm excited, even though this was a slow week video-wise, there was a lot of stuff going on for me, at least behind the scenes, that hopefully will pan out in the next couple of weeks in terms of more content for you guys. So let's talk about what happened this week on the my YouTube page side of things. So just a couple of videos. Just last night, released a video, or yesterday. Yeah, probably last night, I think it was. I'm not sure. But it was a snippet. This is an excerpt from the No Nonsense Beginner's Guide called The Import Files and Bibles in FreeShow. This is a really cool resource. If you are new to FreeShow, I recommend this be something you start with, and it gives you a taste of what the No Nonsense Beginner's Guide to FreeShow is about too. So you can check that out. It's literally just extracted from there. So some of the things I say may be in reference to the course, but it's because I wanted to make sure that was available for you guys to be able to get access as a beginner, how to import your files and so forth, right? And then the extend your computer displays. This has been a problem I think that people have had from the very beginning with FreeShow and any other presentation software, but FreeShow really amplifies it because it has so much capacity and capability. People weren't really in need of it with their older programs that they were using, unless they were coming from ProPresenter. They didn't even have a lot of the flexibility that FreeShow offers. And so what was going on was people wanted to do a stage display, and their computer didn't have the setup because maybe they had two monitors already at the booth, in the media booth, and then they had one output going out for the main display that was split for one of the outputs in the media booth. I know that's how I've had it in some ministries I've been a part of. And so the screen on my left might be my main screen. The screen on the right might be the primary display, and it's getting split to go from also on my monitor in the back to also the monitors in the front of the church, right? So I didn't have any more outputs to put a stage display to be up. If we hung a monitor and right up over the back door or whatnot, or the entry door. My man David, how you doing, sir? Good morning from Rayford, Florida. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Or to Rayford, Florida, I should say. You're there. I'm here in the Atlanta area, so I appreciate you guys jumping on, and always good to see you all's engagement and support. But the idea of having a way to do that easily with a Windows computer, there's a lot more flexibility. And then if you want to spend hundreds of dollars, you can do some things. I know AJ, the CEO, came out with something last week, I think it was, or maybe early this week, of a device that you can get that had SDI outputs. And it was basically like a external card. So on Windows computers, you can add cards to the back of your computer, and basically they connect to the motherboard, I believe, or something like that. And you can add VGA. Back in the day, you can have VGA ports, or now HDMI ports, or SDI ports. This gives you that externally, where you can take it with you, and it's portable. You can unplug it from the computer or plug it into the computer with USB-C, and it has a card in it, and you can hook it up to a Windows or a Mac computer. But it costs, I don't know, upwards of $500 or $600, maybe $800 or something once it's all said and done. This device does the same thing. It gives you access to 4 HDMI outputs from your computer, and you don't have to have a big bulky device, and you can get it for a pretty inexpensive price compared to that that official card setup that they talked about. So he has a really cool video about showing how it works and what it does. But this was a device that I had actually had and been recommending for some time. I just never made a video about it. And so we had some questions about it last week on Free Show Friday, and I was like, let me just let other people know about this. So it's available. There are affiliate links in that description, I guess you could say, for that particular device on Amazon. So if you do get it, you can get it at regular price. It would give me a little bit of a kickback on what you pay for it or whatnot. But I really use the device a lot. I've got it with me right now. Look, let me see. I'm gonna do my behind the scenes look. So I got the device right here on my desk, and I use it all the time. Like it's just my preference. So it works out pretty cool. So if you're looking to get something like that to expand your displays, that would be my recommendation to start with. Now, if you're looking for a full-on long-term build-out solution and you got the budget, you got $1,000 to spend on something like that, feel free to get the bigger device or bigger version of it. It has a built-in fan and all that kind of stuff. This one is silent. It doesn't have a fan built in, so it gets warm, but that's a good thing. That just means it's dissipating the heat. Okay, it's sending the heat out to the body, which is expected when you're doing work, right? You're going to work up some energy. So those are the two videos that came out. Then I did a short from this video as well. But the big news is there was an update on FreeShow, and I forgot, let me put the title on there real quick. There was an update on FreeShow, and let me check something out here. Let me check my FreeShow settings. All right, so that says welcome to FreeShow Friday. I don't want that in there. And I did that those changes in my OBS, and I got to make sure everything else is up to date because things changed. All right, so let's do that one. All right, so that's back up. Okay, but we had a 1.4.8 update coming in. Oh, we got SBU Media from South Africa. Good morning. Good morning. Now, what time is it there in South Africa? Because it's not morning time there, I don't think, right? Let me think. Let's see. You guys are ahead of us, so it's probably evening over there, right? Like probably closer to 8. I'm familiar a little bit with the Kenya time zone. Are you guys in the same time zone as Kenya, or you guys a little bit later than Kenya is my guess, because Kenya's on the far east coast, right? So good morning though. Good morning. And then we got Dale from St. Lucia. What's going on? What's going on, Dale? Appreciate the support, you guys. Like I said, hopefully you all have got to see that there's an update for FreeShow. Like I said, we're talking about the 1.4.8. Last time we met, we talked about the beta, right? So there was a beta version for this, but this is the full version, right? So this is the full update. Okay, so it's 5.13. That's not bad. That's not bad. All right, so thanks for commenting that, SBU. Look, let me see if I can say it. Sibusiso. That's how I think I would say it. That's how I would say it. Let me know if I said it right. So what's new? This is an unbelievable feature. It is something that I never thought about, but I love the idea is having profiles in FreeShow. Now, what that means for you guys and for me is you can set it up as a media leader, if you're a media leader, and have yourself as the admin. There's no special passwords or anything like that to log in. It's not about really it's not about locking people out and securing something and anything like that. It's really about giving the media volunteers access to do what they need to do without fear of editing something that they don't want to mess up, right? Without interfering with something they don't want to interfere with. And so this new feature allows you to create multiple users with different access, and you as the admin can change that access, and you can actually just access that profile and act like you're doing that. So for me, I'm gonna start doing that in some of my videos, because what I want to do is use FreeShow as if I were new to the program or something like that. I'm gonna do some stuff. I was talking to my wife about this. She says she wants some training. I'm gonna see if I can get her to get some training with me to do a like a video on it. Her learning as a first time FreeShow user, what it's like. Hey, good thumbs up. I appreciate that. Let's see, John from Columbus, Georgia. I never heard of Columbus, Georgia. Is that Georgia? Is that what you're talking about? GA, Georgia? That's crazy. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. I don't know where Columbus, Georgia is. I have to look that up one day. All right. The other thing, tweaks. to this new update involved improved quick search. So if you have a Windows computer, you would hit Control G, and if you have an Apple computer, you would hit Command G. All right. This is a really cool update, and it's probably my favorite, even over the profiles, which I was really excited about. But I'm gonna tell you guys why I'm so excited about um, the quick search. It's crazy for me. And then the timer conditions to only show if running. So that's an update in the timer conditions. So let's just jump into some of this. Let me just show you guys what we're working with. So let's go to the profiles real quick. This is just kind of the overview intro. So if you go to your settings in FreeShow, I'm going up here to the upper right to my settings. You'll see a new setting option called profiles. All right. And you can select a new profile, right? So you can select down here and it'll be new profile. So I'm going to call this training volunteer. All right. You might call yours something else, but in here, you now have access to give um, different rights to certain parts of FreeShow. And so this is the global for projects, right? So I can actually hit this arrow to the right, which I really like. I like these little drop down arrows because it says, hey, you can make it to where they can't see, where they can see, and where they can edit on individual projects, right? So you say, you know what? Maybe, you know what? I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna call this one main service volunteer. All right. So you might have a main service that happens on Saturday or Sunday, and then you might have a midweek service that happens on Tuesday, Wednesday, or something like that. For your main service volunteers, you need them to be able to have access to the main service. So let's say our main service is FreeShow Friday, but everything else they don't need access to. So you can make it to where they can just see those, but they can't edit it, or they don't even see it at all, right? To where when they go on the FreeShow, it just looks like it's a main service program. Okay. And they just see everything for the main service in terms of projects, right? And then down here for shows, same idea. You can hit this drop down and it gives you access to all of your show categories. All right. So these are all the show categories, including CHUMS, which is the church management system program that you can use this by the same company that makes FreeShow. Okay, same nonprofit manages it's called Church Apps, and it allows you to integrate your order of service and all your church plans along with attendance and all that kind of stuff all into one, and you can sync it up with FreeShow, right? So you can actually make that be a category once you get it synced up, and it's completely free. Really, shameless plug. Check it out. I've been working on the video for it, but I got to figure out how the best way to approach it because I don't have a church. Like I don't have a big church meeting or attendance and all that kind of stuff to keep up with. But I'm working on some ideas. And so you can do the same thing with these categories that are your show categories, right? So you all probably have a category called songs. You all probably have one. I don't have my scriptures in here because my scriptures is set as an archive category. I think that's by default. And then I got one called Sunday worship. So you might have the Sunday worship editable and visible, but the one for schools, they don't need to see that because it's a main service. Let's see here. Pastor's notes, they definitely need to see that. Training test, they don't need to see that one. So I can turn that one off. Songs, they definitely need to see. Presentations for sure. Bloomington, this is actually from a training, so that one they wouldn't need to see. Men's meetings, that's not going to happen on Sundays. Pastor's notes, planning center, all okay. So those are all good. And then you can even say, you know what? I just want them to be able to see these other ones and not edit. You can hit this little eyeball. So let's say, for example, pastor's notes. I want them to be able to see it and not change it. Let's say planning center. That's another program. That's a church management system as well. They can see it but not edit it. Songs, that's all fine to edit. Presentations, that's fine to edit as well. All right. And then you can go through the whole thing. So overlays, same thing. It gives you your categories for all your different overlays you've got. If you hit that drop down arrow. And I like that. Now, the other thing is you can just keep it to where you don't see the details and you can just make them all globally just say read only, right? Or write. That's completely fine. Completely up to you. All right. And then once you've got this profile set up, so I can go here and go to admin. I can go to here. And then at the very top, it says set as active. All right. So here's what I want to make sure we see. So right now in my, let's do shows. All right. So in my shows, I got a program or a category called men's meetings. But when I set this as my active category, when I go to shows now, because I'm acting as the main service, I don't see men's meeting on the left side. It's just completely invisible to me. It's not active. Okay. And so that's the idea of the profiles. And you guys get to be as creative as you want to. You might come up with some other ways to use this, other ideas that come with it. And so check it out when you get time. Really cool update. Now, the other update that we said was the improved quick search. This one blew my mind, I must admit. So with the improved quick search, what you can do now is you can hit, I got an Apple computer, so I'm gonna hit Command G. And when I hit Command G and I type in, I don't know, settings, let's see, you'll see option to go to the settings. So I can click on that and it takes me right into the settings. All right. Hey, Command G again, it brings up the same search I just had. You can also go to your audio settings. All right. You can go to files, right? And I got this other thing that has these little icons for video. If you click on one of those, it literally takes you to a YouTube video. And these are some of the ones that I've made about free shows. So that's really exciting to me. So you guys have access pretty much to the entire library of videos are on my channel for sure, that are related to anything that has related to your search in FreeShow. Okay. So if you're looking for something and I made a video about it for related to FreeShow, you should be able to find it in here. And I'm not sure what the process is for that to, how they update that and all that kind of stuff. But that's something that's a new update, which is really cool. Now, the other part of this settings, you also see your shows. I got a show called Setting Output. Let's see here. This is that split extend project, that device I was showing you guys about. And then this is planning for free show. That word setting is in those presentations, so it's there in those shows. All right, really cool feature. This is by far the best way to search for things in free show. And as a beginner, I wish this was there. Right, it's basically like like a tutorial tip sheet built into the program to where you can literally pull up any video you need to in terms of that have been created to help you understand how to use this program, right? So if I wanted to search for overlay, if I can type it right, it'll take you to, you can make a new overlay just as easily, right? About overlays, I'm not sure what this is. This is like, I think it takes you to the website. So it takes you into the free show website. When you see that question mark, it literally takes you to the documentation on free show. So I hit Command G again. I also have some videos, overlay timers and then understanding overlays. Those are YouTube videos. Let me just click one. Let's see. What's going on, everybody? So it takes you into a video directly from me, which is kind of crazy. Pretty cool. All right. So check that out. Command G or Control G while you're in free show pulls up a quick search that I would say is unmatched because it pulls up a whole list of things where you can actually create a new overlay. You can read some information about it on their documentation on their website. You can pull up a video about it on YouTube. You also it pulls up all the content that's related to that in your free show program, right? So anything that has this word overlays in it, you'll find that in here. All right. And then I got even an action up here, remove overlays. And this is a overlays action here as well. All right. So really cool stuff. I love that. That feature right there is, bar none, one of the craziest things I've ever seen with free show to date, partly because I'm involved with it, but secondly, because it does simplify for new users so much. Okay. Now that does not negate the current search. So you got this search on the far right. This is not the quick search, but if I type in overlay, what it does is it searches whatever tab you're currently in and whatever category you're in, it'll pull it in, right? So if I go to presentations, it's a different search. If I go planning center, free show, it pulls up information there. So presentation, let's see. It says search is active. Okay, so it pulls up everything in that tab. So if I go to media and do a search, let's do online. And I do a search for overlay. It pulls up, I'm in Pixabay, so it pulls up things that are related to overlay. All right. If I were to go to functions and do a search, and let's see here if it doesn't do any. Oh, okay, here we go. It's got an action called remove overlay. So it pulls that up for me. All right. If I delete that, it pulls up it shows all the rest of them. So the search on the right is very specific to whatever tab you're in, whereas the quick search with Command G is universal. All right. So it literally pulls up the action that I found in this search on the right, and it pulls up an overlay. It pulls up a new overlay option. I can immediately start a new overlay, questions, videos, and anything that has the word in it. Okay, so it searches throughout the whole program, which again is different than the scripture search down here. All right. So this scripture search, if you do the search on the right while you're in the scripture tab, you can type in the books of the Bible and it'll pull those up quickly and easily. This is the best way to find books. So if I wanted to find, let's see here, Genesis, Matthew. Let's say I want to type in Matthew. I just type in MAT, it pulls it up, and I can say 5, and I hit space, and I'll say verse 8, and it pulls up right to Matthew 5:8, and you can hit enter, and it'll pop it up right on the screen there for you if you wanted to. And that is a cool way to do a search if you want to immediately find something. All right. But what we want to do is down here at the bottom, if somebody is saying something in the Bible that is not exactly the scripture reference, but they're just talking about a scripture, you can do a search down here that is available to search the Bible. So let's see here. I don't know what's something we can search. I'm gonna say fruit of the Spirit. Uh-oh. All right. And you'll see Galatians 5:22 is what I was thinking about. And I can select that and it'll pop up there as well. All right. And it brings up that. If I did that same search over here, it won't yield the same results. All right. So this is like a quick understanding of how to search in FreeShow. But if I type in fruit of the Spirit, it's not going to pull up any of that we're doing because it's not searching through the Bible. It's literally just allowing you to find the books and references of the Bible that you need from the left side there. All right. I should have made that save review, but we're doing a review time right now. All right. So that's how that works. Really cool stuff. Command G is your best friend. Some of you all may already have been using it. I think it was available in the beta only, the last beta, but maybe it was available before. Let me know. Have you guys been using the Command G function for the quick search or the Control G? Let's go back. Let's see, FreeShow. So the timer condition to only show if running. All right. This is something that is pretty cool. So let's go into FreeShow. And the best place I've seen it is to use it, I should say, is in the stage layouts. Let's see. So I got some timers here and I was working on a project. So you'll see this project maybe come out in the next week. But this particular timer says worship training. Training is there just because I'm doing it as a training thing. It's not a real worship timer. But over here, I got this condition set to it, right? So if I right click and go to conditions, it says all the following conditions are met. It says show this item if all these conditions are met. And it says if the timer. So I selected timer and I picked the name of the timer. If it's running, then show this particular content, which is the timer. And so that's new. And that's really cool because now my stage display looks like this until I start that timer. Right. And so when I start that timer, it'll show up on the left side there. This is the edit page, the layout page for your stages. And so you have a lot more flexibility with your conditions when you're setting up your timers and things like that. All right. And this is new. This is all new for that. So let's go back. Let's see here. Stage. Okay. Online media. Oh, stage quick add text box with a dynamic value. So stage, you can quick add a text box with a dynamic value. I don't want to overlook that because that one is crazy cool too. And so I'm in my stage layout setup, right? My tab up here at the top right that says stage. If I go over to items, now you got this option. If I hit this little drop down, it gives you all of your different dynamic values. And you can pick those. These are variables at the bottom that I've made. You'll see the names of them over there. But you'll see all the options for variables that you can use on your stage display. And you can easily just select one. All right. So I don't have any slides active, I don't think. Let's see. Slide text, video duration, RSS, speaker, import message. So let's say I want to put in this beginner topic we're going to talk about later. I can select that. It automatically puts in a text box for it, right? So I got this text box for the beginner topic. Bring that in over here. And let's go to the item. Actually, in the text box, let's make it be auto size. And you'll see now that my beginner topic is going to be not just slides. And I was able to quickly add that. Okay. And that's there. And that's what that's going to be. All right. That's how that works. Really cool feature. Check it out when you get time. It is a game changer when it comes to making quick additions to your stage display. All right. Let's see here. If there's anything else I want to highlight, Planning Center songs. Oh, online media will be downloaded for offline use. This is something that's new as well. We've always been able to access online media libraries. If we go to media and you go to online, like I did earlier, we've been able to access Pixabay and Unsplash, but now you can actually add those to your presentation or to your show, and it'll automatically be saved to your computer or downloaded to your computer to where you can use it, and it works without you having to have access to the internet. That's the big deal, right? And I'm getting a little toasty here, you guys. Forgive me. I had to work out this morning. I'm trying to stay cool. I got my little fan going, but it's not doing much right now. I don't want to turn it up too high. Hold on. Just tilt it up a little bit. All right. So the online media downloads to your computer now when you select one of the images. You don't have to do anything special for it to do that. If you add it to a show, it's going to automatically download. All right. Planning Center songs can use local shows if they have the same name. This is something that's been a question for a lot of folks that have been using Planning Center and syncing it up with FreeShow. It'll now use names from what you currently have in FreeShow if they're the exact same. All right. Control/Command must be held to quick change drop-down values. This is something else that helps alleviate any control or concerns when you're scrolling through and you accidentally scroll through a value, a drop-down value. You won't run into that anymore. And I used to run into that with my trackpad on my computer, to where it would give me the issue of, I would scroll down with, on a Mac, you can do a 2-finger scroll and it goes down. I guess on a Windows computer, you do the same thing, but you can scroll down. But if you get to an area where there's an actual drop down menu, it'll cycle through that drop down menu before it gets to continue scrolling on that main page you're on. And so you now have to do that by holding down Command if you want to scroll inside of a drop down menu without selecting it. Okay. And then text edit should now keep the style when splitted into more slides. All right. So when you're editing text and you want to split a slide, it'll keep the same style or whatnot. All right. Items copy and paste includes transform and filter styles. Oh, that's pretty cool. All right. And so you can copy and paste your filter styles and your transformation stuff. That's pretty cool. Action activation when timer starts. All right. So it used to be, I think there was always one when timer ends, but now there is an action for when a timer starts. All right. So if I go new action, let's see here, training, timer activate. All right. So custom activations are really cool, but sometimes they get overlooked because we got this start action and we might want to just drag the action onto something, which is cool once we create it. But you got this option here that says custom activation. And what custom activation does is it gives you room to select that, and it gives you a whole list of things that you can make be the trigger for your action that you're going to create. So you can say, you know what, when a timer is starting up, I want this to take place. And maybe I wanted to clear the overlays, or maybe you wanted to start some music when the timer starts, right? That's a really cool idea if you're doing a countdown timer. When this timer starts, I want it to start music, okay? That's a really cool way to do it, all right? And so that's there. And that's something that you can do, and you pick your action. So you say play music, and it'll be triggered by when a specific timer is selected. So if I go to timer starting, it says any timer. You can pick now any of your timers that you've got. And you might say, I want it to be during my, whatever your countdown timer is. Like this one is a timer I've used called Bloomington. That was a church we did a entire setup for. You can set that to be the countdown timer. And then whenever that happens, you choose an action, and the action has to do with starting a playlist, right? So you say, I want that to happen. And I want to pick I got Christmas, I got new beats, new playlist, live stream intro. Let's say that. So when that particular timer starts, it's going to automatically start the music with it. Okay, that's an action that you can have. It's as a way you can do it. The cool thing about actions, though, is that it's not just this one thing, because you can just drag the playlist onto a show. But this is starting when the countdown starts, and you might not even have the countdown on a show. You might just start the countdown during service, right? Or maybe you make it start the countdown in the action to where that's just what happens. But yeah, a lot of cool things you can do with that. All right. But that's how it works. When it's the timer starting, it is a trigger. Okay. Let's go back. Let's see here. Small startup improvements, updated languages, and many minor tweaks. Really cool. Here's some bug fixes. If you had any issues with the previous version, check here to see if there's something that got fixed that you've been having some issues with, and that'd be a really good reason to make sure you update and upgrade to the latest one. I haven't checked those out as of lately because I haven't seen any issues. Let's see, deleting duplicated shows with the exact text match, also deleting the original. That's a good fix. Okay. All right. So that's done. What questions do you guys have about the update? We're looking at it all here. What questions do you have, or what are you most excited about is what I really want to know. For me, I'm most excited about the quick search. Command G. I'm gonna be putting that in you guys' mind. Command G is a really cool way to find quick access to everything that you need in FreeShow, whether it's from their website documentation, whether it's from a video that I've made. Maybe it's just you're looking for a show that's in your library already. You can do that with Command G. All right, really cool setup. Now, if there aren't any questions, like I said, keep those coming. Beginner level discussion. All right, time to talk about it. We got to talk about what it means to approach FreeShow, and it's not just about slides. I think a lot of times we're coming from PowerPoint, or we're coming from some other program, maybe Easy Worship or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It's not about the type of program or the name of the program you're coming from, but the type of program that it is. When you first started using media or serving in media at your ministry that you're a part of, or doing stuff with your organization, whatever it is, many of us first started using or seeing something that was PowerPoint or like PowerPoint. Okay. I know for me, that was kind of where ministry started. Like I said, I can go back way back with the, what's it called? The transparency slides. I bring it up and I forget what it's called every time. The overhead. Is it called the overhead? I think it's called the overhead projector. It had the little thing at the top, the light shooting down and it would reflect up or something like that. It was crazy. But that was probably my first introduction to what was quote unquote PowerPoint slides. And it was just transparent papers that they would put on that had the lyrics typed out, and it would project up onto the wall that we had, or you can put it on a board or a screen or whatnot. Now, with that being said, that is not what FreeShow is. Okay, FreeShow is not just about slides. As I just showed you earlier, we just were talking about search functions and actions and triggers and all this kind of stuff. It's so much more than just slides. So when you approach FreeShow, if you're looking for it to be like PowerPoint or be as easy as a previous program you came from that just manages slides, it is going to be confusing. So my tip or my suggestion is to use FreeShow if you want to have PowerPoint capabilities with production level access. All right. So when I say production, like live production level processes in terms of triggers and actions and overlays and things like that have nothing to do with anything you've ever done on PowerPoint, right? You couldn't pop up lower thirds like I'm doing now, which you guys are seeing at the bottom of the screen down there. No, not just slides. That's not something I could have did in PowerPoint. Okay, at the top right there, that you couldn't put that in PowerPoint. Okay, those are dynamic values, overlays, and variables all mixed into one, which none of which are part of PowerPoint and many other slide programs. Right, that's all you want. Honestly, I would say stick with something like that. Right, stick with that type of program. This program is not designed to just be slides. Now, if you wanted to just be slides, it can do that, but many people will say, well, it doesn't do as well as PowerPoint. It won't do slides as well as PowerPoint. It doesn't have all those crazy animations and all the graphs and charts and all that kind of stuff that PowerPoint does, because that's not the focus of FreeShow. This program is designed for live presentations, is designed for a media team to manage it and work it, and it's designed to go out to many different screens at the same time with different ways to see things. Like we said, like you might have one screen that looks like this, that's showing the stage people what time it is and how long the video, how much more time you got on the video and the current and the next slide. And then the people in the house are seeing something that has slides in the middle and overlays on top and all that kind of stuff. And then people online are just seeing just the overlay and that and a video in the middle. Okay, that's what you guys are seeing right now. Okay, I'm using OBS with FreeShow, and they're really there's a really good partnership if you use those two programs together where they are seamlessly integrated with each other to work well. All right. So approaching Free Show, do not approach it like PowerPoint or you're going to be sorely disappointed. But if you say, hey, I want PowerPoint mixed with live production, then you got some different expectations, and Free Show is going to deliver well and above. Now, the other part is not just PowerPoint, and it's not just live production. It's also a collection or a library of shows and Bibles. This is what sets it apart from uh, other programs like PowerPoint or just production level programs or just even just I mean, it's all these things combined. It's a library of shows, a library of Bibles, and then production quality features like overlays, music, the templates, and all that kind of stuff. All those things play a part together, and then you also throw in the ability. Oh yeah, and it can show slides. Okay, that's kind of what it is. So when you approach Free Show, don't approach it like it's just one thing. It is literally a conglomeration of a lot of different facets and features that make it great. All right. So let me know you guys' thoughts on that. What is your favorite part of it? Is it that it does all those things, or do you mostly just use it for the Bibles, or do you mostly just use it for the triggers and actions and all that kind of stuff and variables, or do you use it all together all the time? Let me know. All right. Um, for our intermediate users, let's talk about this. So I ran into an issue this week. I was working on a project, a video, and I cleared out all of my. I was updating my Bibles here, so I updated them to be the abbreviated version of the Bible. I also, and this is for intermediate users. This will make sense to you guys if you've been using Free Show for any amount of time. You'll appreciate this discussion. So this is for you. All right. So I've got my verse numbers, my show references. I've got that on. I actually moved it to where the reference shows and then the version shows in these little brackets. Okay. Or the parentheses. I'm sorry, not in brackets, but in parentheses. I did that. And I wanted it to be the abbreviated version instead of the spelled out version like I had. I had this say New Living Translation. I had this one say New King James Version, all spelled out, right? So BC So says he uses it all. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. And so what I ran into is I also had the Bible collections. And my question is, how many of you guys have used Bible collections? And if you haven't, pay close attention because I'm going to show you how to do it, because that was something that when I first started using Free Show, like I said, this is not a beginner level situation because I didn't understand it. As I started to get comfortable with it, I started to realize I wanted to know, how do I use these templates to have multiple Bibles? So they had like the 2 Bibles and the 3. And I was like, how do I make that work? Where is it at? How does it make it do that? Like it was so confusing. And then I figured out it won't work unless I have a collection that has the um 2 Bibles set up. So, or 3 Bibles, right? So let's say I wanted to have, I'm gonna hold down Command and I'm gonna select New Living Translation and the Message Bible. Okay. They both are highlighted with in my case, a white box around them, um, kind of opaque. If I right click on that and say New Collection, now I've got these 2 Bibles. It was New Living and the Message. It just shows for me English and English. I can right click on that and I can rename it and I can make it say NLT plus the Message. All right. So that's what that says now. That's what that is. That's my collection. Now I have access to select that. And right now my template is designed to have just one Bible. So it looks real wonky here. We don't want that. So you would change your template now to be a template that has 2 Bibles built into it. All right. So I'm scrolling through. I got a bunch of different templates here. If I go down, keep going, keep going. All right, here we go. So I got this one that's Scripture 2 by default, and I got this one. I'll do my duplicated version of it. I might have did something special with it, but you'll see there it shows both versions of the Bible. And let's see, I'll double click on. Let's see here. What is this? What book is it? This is Song of Solomon. We'll do that verse in Matthew 5:8. So if I select that, you'll see it show up there, and by default, it automatically puts the double verses in that you guys can see on the screen just below me here. But what my audience would see is something like this. Okay, they would see that. Ignore the title up there at the top. That's just because I'm me doing my live show. But they'll see the version of the reference down at the bottom. And let me see if we can make it to where you guys can see that. Hold on just a sec. I know it's covering it up. Let's freeze this. So if I lock that down and I clear my slides, all right, so that goes away. But this is what the audience would see. They would see Matthew 5:8, and then they'll see New Living Plus the Message, because that's what I named my collection. So that's what it shows. And then they'll see both of those versions of the Bible. When you're doing your Bible collections, there's a couple things that come into play with this. All right. So let me activate that again. All right. And what comes into play is, first of all, you notice that it defaulted to showing two Bible versions. Now, actually, no, I'll take that back. I actually selected the two Bible versions. It defaulted on my live stream feed though to show the lower thirds with two Bible versions. All right. Let's see. If I go to my settings, this is the crazy part. If you have a collection and you go to styles and you go to override scripture. So I'm gonna just go to my live training too. Okay. So scripture lower third number 2 here. If I select this to say, okay, I want to override my scriptures. Okay. And I don't know which one am I using. I'm using live 2 training. That is somewhere else. Live -2. Where did I put that? Is it stream training? I don't know if I deleted that setup or what. I see live training -2, but it's all good. We'll work with what we got. I'm gonna use stream training. It's not active. Maybe it's because it's on. Let's see here. Let's do this one. All right. And so if I go here and I select my override style, okay, you'll see here it says translations and it's default for 1. I can also set a default for a collection of 2 Bibles. So when I select that, it says, okay, what default do you want to use? And I can pick from what I have in terms of all of the templates that I've got. And right now it defaults itself to being the lower scripture lower third 2. That was this by on the program by default, which is really cool. Okay. And so that's why I picked that one when I had a collection of 2 Bibles. You can change that to be whatever you want. The point I want to make is if you don't have a collection of Bibles, so I'm gonna go back to default 1. Okay. Close that out. We're in live training -2. Okay. I'm gonna go back to my show and I'm gonna change my Bible version. We're gonna go to ESV and I'm gonna change this here from being 1 to be this one. All right. And so now it'll look like that. That's fine. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to right click and I'm going to delete this collection of Bibles. Okay. So we deleted the collection of Bibles. We don't have any more double Bibles, right? We don't have the New Living and the Message together. We just have everything separate. Okay. These are all available for download. If you have not downloaded them, feel free to download them on my website, GaryBJr.com, and you can have them for free. All right. But if I go back to my settings, this is where I got caught up this week, at least, was when I went to my training and I wanted to try to find that collection drop down that shows the defaults for multiple Bibles. It doesn't show you that anymore because you don't have multiple Bibles set up. So you'll never even see a way to default for what it looks like when you have 2 or 3 different Bible versions showing at the same time. All right. So Bible collections are really cool. When you set them up, the first step you got to do is you actually have to go into your scriptures and you have to hold down command or control and then pick 2 Bibles or 3, right? And then you right click on that and make your new collection. All right. Once you do that, all right. And so I got the NIV and I think it was the ESV. You can select it and I can click on a verse, but it shows you here the template is based on what I have set for Bibles. I need to change that to be a template that involves 2 scriptures. So I'll go down here to the bottom and I'll scroll through till I see something that has 2 Bibles. And then forgive me, I got a bunch of templates. So I'm gonna go to my one that's got the 2 Bibles there and you'll see there. All right. Message in NIV. So I can change this name of the collection, right click on it And instead of it being English only, I can make it say message plus NIV. Hit enter and it locks it in. And the audience will now see both of those versions of the Bible. You guys can see it 2 times over. So you see what the audience sees plus what the online audience sees down at the bottom there. Okay. So that is a really cool feature. If you've not used it, please check it out, especially if you just want to do parallel Bibles type setup, right? Not necessarily 2 different languages. You can do 2 different languages, but even if you just want to do parallel Bible. Now, the one thing to keep in mind is you have to use the same type of Bible. If it's a download or a local Bible, you can use those in the same collection. If it's an API Bible, then you can use those in the same collection, but you can't overlap. So I can't do Control for NLT and this New American. It's going to only let me pick one or the other. And I'm holding down Control both times. But when I do Control and hold down 2 of these that have an open face in it, that are API Bibles, it allows me to make those into a collection. All right. Let's see here. Dale says, currently using Easy Worship at our church. I want to transition to FreeShow, so I'm in the process of learning FreeShow and then came across your YouTube channel. Hey, that's what's up, Dale. Hopefully you find some things that you need to learn. In the meantime, I'm curious. I've never used Easy Worship, right? And so I love to hear feedback from you on what is it that you have the biggest questions about. Because when you're switching to any new program, any new tool, there's always a learning curve, and I respect the learning curve. And for me as a trainer, um, I kind of focus on specializing and trying to help people overcome learning curves. But at the same time, I've never used a lot of different programs. I only used OpenLP in the past, and I've played a little bit with Pro Presenter, but never used it in a live environment. But they allow you to download it for free, at least in the past. And I had it and I played with it. And that was around the same time I found FreeShow. I was actually entertaining, should I use Pro Presenter or FreeShow, because OpenLP stopped working for me properly. And so I had to get something that was going to work as a media consultant that I can tell other ministries about that I was working with. And OpenLP was great because it worked on Apple and Windows computers, and it was completely free. FreeShow has been the new replacement of what I use to recommend to any church now. 1, because it's free. 2, because it works on both of those platforms. And then 3, because it is robust. It is it's only rivaled by Pro Presenter, right? And I say it's rivaled in terms of you can do pretty much anything that you can do in FreeShow. You should be able to do it in Pro Presenter some form or fashion, okay? That is the only program that I know of that can do everything FreeShow can do. Okay. And I almost say the other way around, is that almost anything you can do in Pro Presenter, you can do in FreeShow as well. The problem with it, that comparison, is that one of them is free and one of them is not. So if I can get 95% of the same thing, but for free, does that 5% really matter? And that's where you really have to weigh the options and identify. And even other programs, right, that are not free, you're paying for them probably. And they don't have the features that you might want, but they have features that you use and you just have not explored to see others. Okay. So definitely interested in hearing your thoughts about what is your biggest pain point coming into FreeShow. All right. We're going to shift gears. Now we're going into an advanced discussion. All right. And then what I'll do, the way this works on FreeShow Friday, if you guys pop up a question, I'm going to shift into Q&A mode and we'll talk about that question and get you an answer. Okay. So come here with questions in mind and I'll be happy to help address those as best I can. All right. With that being said, let's talk about Companion. First of all, has anybody ever heard of BitFocus Companion or Stream Deck? That would be my first question. And the reason I ask is because that is literally what I use. And I'm going to show you guys. That's what I use right now for my setup. All right. And so give you an idea of what my setup is. You can see me a little bit. Let me adjust my camera. Looks funky to me. So I'm going to adjust my layout of it. Let's see here. I'm going to pull this over a bit and drag this out a bit more. There we go. All right. So hopefully that's better for you guys to see me and I can look at you guys. But this is my setup. Ignore my notepad. But this right here is an old iPad that's running the buttons that you can see on my screen in front of me here. And this is called Companion, or BitFocus Companion to be exact. And what it does is it allows you to connect. And if you know, you know, right? This is something that some people have seen and used, and they've been using it for years. People that use ProPresenter may use this a lot. People that use FreeShow are interested in using it because they probably came from ProPresenter, right? For me, I never used it before. I've heard of Stream Decks and I saw them, but I was like, I don't really have a need for that because the programs that I was using really couldn't take advantage of it. But FreeShow definitely can. And let me tell you or show you how and why. All right. And so I use it to switch between my scenes that you guys see in OBS. Okay. So right now in OBS, I've got it set up to where I've got a button to show what's primarily showing on FreeShow, which is there. I got it set up where I can press a button and I can go to what's primarily showing on my screen that you guys saw, my behind the scenes. I got it set to where I can go to just full behind the scenes mode where it shows a little short, small video of that down at the bottom, plus my screen up here. Okay. And then I've also got another one that is a overhead only, which is this behind the scenes shot that you guys saw earlier. I've also got it to where it's got the split overhead. And these are all just scenes, almost like I was using an ATEM mini switcher, right? So I made them into buttons. I also got one that does this. Let's see here. Will it show up? Oh, wait. Primary split. No, it should go, but it won't go. Let's see. I don't know why. Oh, there we go. My fireworks. I got fireworks that I can activate, and they show up in FreeShow. Okay. And so all those scenes don't have a FreeShow override over the top of them. That's why you couldn't see it earlier. But I've got a button for fireworks, which is going to be something that could be fun. All right. But let's go back into Companion itself. It can look overwhelming. There's a setup. I made a video about this a while back, setting up Companion with OBS and FreeShow. Check that video out to get it set up to where you can get to this point. But the main thing I wanted to point out is if you go to the left side, you got your connections. Companion is literally like glue that holds a lot of different programs together if you want them to all be controlled from one platform or one surface. And so I've got an ATEM that I can have plugged up. I've got OBS, which is a streaming software for free. I got FreeShow, which is a streaming software, or not streaming, but a presentation software for free, we've been talking about. And then I've also got MIDI control set up in a sense that it is something that's tied to the network on your computer creates a network, or you have another device that can talk to that same MIDI network. Not like it's not a Wi-Fi network, but they're all on the same, internet or Wi-Fi plug-in network. And MIDI is an interface that sends out signals that you can send out and it'll do different things. It's basically just another trigger that you can create. FreeShow, you can use MIDI. OBS can use MIDI as well. So I've got that as some connections that I've got. Okay. If you're looking for like PTZ cameras, right? If you got a PTZ camera, you can find a connection potentially that will work with Companion to where you can control the scenes of your PTZ camera from your tablet instead of having to use your PTZ controller, for example. All right. Let's see here. Dale's saying Easy Worship has a preview section before it goes to the live section. Does FreeShow have this feature? A preview before it goes to live. That's a good question. Let's talk about that real quick, and I'll come back to the Companion stuff. But FreeShow, does it have a way to preview before it goes live? You typically won't need to do that, but let's look at this real quick. So I got this here. All right. Now I've got an action set up here. Let me go to my actions real quick to turn this off because I created an action the other day for video start. I want to deactivate this. Let's see here. Enabled, disabled. All right. Hold on. Start this one as well. These are some actions I was working on some other videos for. So I'm going to turn those off because they will change a lot. All right. So if I start this up, it's a blank screen. The preview of what's going on live is over here. Okay. So I can see that here, right? It's just a intro of what's coming up next. If I arrow to the right, it shows up. And like I said, I've got a live stream feed showing up the lower thirds there. So you can see that down there at the bottom. That's what people online would see. You guys get to see both. All right. Hopefully that's not too confusing, but I've got that there. Now, if you're talking about making edits before you send it out, if I wanted to make an edit to this slide, I can change the view first of all. So I can go down here. It says change the slide view. So I can click here and now I can see that I've got this slide view. So if I say, you know what, I want to change this. It says, I won't be overwhelmed. Um, let's see here. I'm gonna just take that line out and hit delete. Now over here, I do have a preview of what I just did. Over here, nobody in the in-house in the audience saw it because it still says I won't be overwhelmed. All right. In order for it to actually go live, I would have to hit this icon here that says update. So yes, there is a preview when you're making changes. All right. I'm going to go ahead and put that back. I don't want to mess up my song. All right. But yes, so you can preview changes in FreeShow based on how you got your view set up to where you can make your edits, and they don't have to go live until you hit this update icon here to make it go, or until you go to another slide and come back and it'll automatically be updated to that new stuff. Okay. So that's what I would say would be the equivalent of what you're talking about, because in FreeShow, everything, let me go to my settings. I'm gonna turn off that lower third so you guys won't be distracted by that. Let's turn off slides. All right. And so that would be what I would say is the equivalent of being able to see a preview. Now, the reason why I say the preview is not that important in FreeShow, not because it's not a good idea, it's just that when you're making changes in FreeShow, everything is going to happen behind the scenes and you're going to see it in the preview mode. So you can go here to actually start editing a slide if I wanted to. I can put in, this is the slide that's active on the right. This is a preview of what's active right now. I can go here and I can type a bunch of L's in there, go back to the show, and still nobody has seen anything change. The only way it pops up, and I can see over here what it'll look like, right? So that's my preview, like I told you. I hit update, and now they can see all those L's live, okay? So it's hard to make a mistake, but I can go back and I can delete that, and I fixed it, but it shows up over here on the left, but here it won't show until I hit refresh, and now all of a sudden, or update, it automatically shows up and it's updated, okay? So Dale, let me know if that explains what it is I think that you're needing, right? To where you have that comfort, because the preview to me is really more of a buffer, right? It's a buffer. It's a comfort place to say, okay, I'm making these changes and this is what it looks like. When it comes to lyrics and things like that, if you've got scripture verses, you can do the same thing. If you made a presentation with verses in it, you can do the same thing. You can go in here, you can make adjustments as needed, and it'll show up in a preview. I don't think I can make these larger or smaller. Let me see something here. You can do this, and you can't really edit. So this is not an editable page. I was looking at that to see what it looks like. This is the song view mode. I'm not sure what you call it, but this is the typical grid view that you would see. Now there's another view that doesn't do preview, but it's a really cool view. If you go up here to the top where it says view, and you say toggle focus mode, this is a lot like what you might see in Pro Presenter. Okay, this is like the view of Pro Presenter where it shows you your verses. It shows you every slide in here, and you can scroll through the entire show, the entire service, okay, from start to finish, and be able to go through and just use your arrow keys to go through. I've got a video in here. That's up here on the left. Is under the announcements. Part of a test, not a big deal. All right. But yes, you can preview before you make big changes. Okay. So let's go back to talk about Companion. We talk about the buttons in Companion. Notice that this connection here is spinning because I don't have my ATEM set up to my computer right now. It's not plugged in. It's turned off actually. But on the next section there is buttons. Now buttons are unbelievably cool because you can make pages of buttons, like as many pages as you want to, I guess. Let's see here. If I said, so I got buttons here. I got this option to edit page. I got an option here to export the page. Option here to go to a home position, and you can set that up. And so I can arrow this to the right, and it goes back and forth between my two pages. Okay. And this is one I was doing for like a game, like a sports game. But this is the main one that I use. All right. And let me think. Look, I have not played with adding more pages, but you can do that. Not in here. I have to think about how to add more pages, but you can, over here, the pages. So pages is here. I can make a whole new page. All right. And so I'm gonna call this one training. Let's call it training. All right. And we'll add that one page. And if I go through now or hit this drop down and I go to training, it's completely empty, but it's got this template of 4x7 grid, and then it's got the up, training, and down, right? So I can, if I hit that, it's designed to take me up. If I was using my touchpad, it'll take me up to the next page, all right? But you can configure these buttons. So I can select a button and I can say create a button, and it gives you this blank slate to start with. What do you want to call the button? I'm gonna call this one overlays, and just something generic. We're just doing something generic. You can adjust the size of what it looks like because now it's got the word overlays on it. These are real buttons that you would have if you had a Stream Deck. These would be really real buttons. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna jump back into what Dale said. He says, not really to edit a slide like with Easy Worship. I can pull up a song to see it while I can still have the live section running. Oh, for sure. Excuse me. Let me go back real quick to answer your question, Dale, or to review what you were talking about. In FreeShow, that's exactly how it works, right? So I'm gonna go to out of focus mode, right? So you can be in focus mode if you want to, but I'm gonna come out and come back into the general mode. Okay. Oh, let's see. Sorry. Turn it off, and then I just pick another slide. Okay. And so let's say I've got this particular show going. Okay. This is what people are seeing. I can go to my other shows here, Galatians. I got a training when I was just playing with different things. I can go here and you can see all those, and you'll see a pink box around the one that's active. But these are a list of shows that I got in my project, which is like a service. So my project is my list of everything that's happening in the service. And so I got presentation. I got something that says announcement slide. So I can drag that in under announcements, for example. And this is what that slideshow looks like. I can preview what it looks like. Okay, that's good. That's good. But I need to make some edits to this. The audience is still seeing the worship song, and you're making edits and changing things and all that kind of stuff. Not necessarily editing, like you said, but you can see everything on that show that you want to see. This is the one that's still highlighted. God, I look to you. But I'm looking at the announcement slides. You'll see a little gray box or a black box around that one. Same thing if I go to Galatians chapter 5, verses 1 through 26. The box is gone off of announcements and it's around Galatians, but it's still pink around that one. All right. So you can still see everything in this one, and you can edit anything in here by going to the edit, and it'll edit just this show. By clicking that, it shows you every slide in that show where you can make those changes if you need to. That's the biggest benefit to preview for me, is to be able to go in and see if I need to make changes. Right. But yes, you can definitely preview anything and it won't change your output. So if I go back to shows, if I go to other songs, I can find, okay, Beautiful Savior. I'm gonna put that song in under praise and worship, and let's see what it looks like. I don't know what the background, there's no background to it. Okay, that's what it looks like. Looks good. That's the lyrics I want to use, and it stays in there. So yes, you can definitely do that and still have the live section, as you call it, running. Okay, and your live section in FreeShow is going to be over here on the right. And I've got a primary, I've got a live stream feed output. And I say feed, I call them, so the primary output, live stream output, and a stage output active right now. And so if I wanted to start that, I would hit this little arrow button to present. With me doing a live stream, I don't send it out to real screens. These are all just for you guys, for me to show you in training, so I don't send them out. But if you were in a ministry setting or an event setting, you would send these out to a real screen, and that would be exactly what is showing on those screens. So this preview section is gold of what's going on live. Everything that you're doing in here is all for you to see, and this is your main preview, like you're talking about, to where you can see what you want to see in terms of arranging other parts of the service or the meeting and setting it up and know exactly what's going on. All right. Great question, Dale. Great question. All right. Let's go back to companion. So we got this button, we're calling it overlays, and we're trying to set it up. The text is way too big for the button. So it says font size is set to auto, but you can hit that drop down and you can make it be smaller. So I can make it be 18, still too big, is the S hanging out. So I'll make it be 14, and now overlays fits there. So I got a button here called overlays. This button is able to be used on your computer. It could be used on your tablet or on a Stream Deck, a physical device. What's going on, Daniel B? How you doing? And so you can use this button to be anything that you want it to be, but you got to give it a name. And then you set up what the action is you want it to do. Now, companion, let me backtrack real quick. We're talking about, this is an advanced level discussion, but companion is completely free. Okay, just like OBS, just like FreeShow. So they go together in that way to where they're kind of all cousins of just this free program. I know OBS and FreeShow are open source. Companion may be open source. I'm guessing it is if it's free and it's so powerful as well. But you can set up what you want this action to do. You can adjust what color you want the background of that button to be. Let me do that. Let's change the color of the button. So I'm gonna make the button be yellow with blue text. Okay, these are my school colors. Every school I went to, the colors are blue and gold. All right. Actually, so gold would be a little bit more. Eh. These are fine. If you have your hex or your RGBs, you can pick that color. I'm gonna stick with this one. It'll work for now. All right. So that's my button. You can have a whole slew of buttons and they can all be yellow and blue. And that's a certain set of buttons to do certain things if you wanted to. You just create them that way. But down here is where the real magic happens. And I keep jumping around. But up here real quick, top bar, it says follow default, show or hide. So there's a top bar that you can add to it that shows like where it is in the button ranking. So this one says uh, page 3, row 0, button number 1. So 0 to 7, and then 0 to 7 going down. All right. Or 0 to 4 going down. I'm sorry. So you can do that. You can do it to where it is not showing up. You can do the default, which is I got it set to not show up. You also can arrange your text to be left aligned on the top, right? You can change your text to be left aligned at the bottom, in the middle, centered at the bottom, and all that kind of stuff. That's all these are. And then you also can add images to your buttons. And this is what I've done. So if I go back to my page 2, or page 1, actually, it's FreeShow Friday, this little microphone icon, that's actually, if I click on that, it's a PNG and it looks like that. It doesn't let me, so the PNG, I just go to just hit this little search icon to find an actual image that you downloaded. I made all my images on Canva and brought them in that way. So yeah, that would be a way you can do it. You can add, instead of a button that has words, you can have them just have images. And I've got some here that have images, like these are just back and forth arrows. And then I got the words at the bottom. That's definitely an option. Okay. So let's go back to our training button. All right. So I got overlays is what it's called. And I've arranged how I want the button. It's got text, no pictures with it. You can bring those in by clicking that. And then it says progress. It says when this button has multiple steps, progress to the next step when the button is released. All right. That is like a way to do it. Okay. If not, you can make it to where it just is off and it just, whenever you press the button, it does everything. It's not releasing or not. So you can actually hold down on a button and hold it to do something. And then when you let it go, it just turns back off as a way that it can work. Okay. So you can do that. Rotary actions. It says make this button compatible with rotation events. I have no clue what that is. I wish I could help you with that. But rotation events, some of you guys might know. Let me know in the chat if you do. Let's see. Daniel's got a quick question. Let me check that out real quick. Quick question. Can you let me know what template you're using for live? And if you have some transition and auto size / font size, I have a glitch showing when the verse is long, it looks weird when it auto sizes for a split second. Was wondering if you have a better solution. So in FreeShow, you're saying your verse auto sizes when it's long. Let's see here. So I got some long verses here. If I were to go to that one, there's that. And so let's see what template I'm using for these verses because they don't look like they're glitching around too much. So I'm using this one. I call it big bold box. So it's a big scripture inside of a transparent box. And I just customize it. So let's right click on it and see what I did. I go to edit and I do have it set to auto size. I got the font size at 40 by default. Wait, let me select it. So this box is set to 80 by default, but it is set to auto size and it's set to shrink to fit. And so, Daniel, it depends on how you're bringing up your verses. So my verses right now are all inside of a show. If you're bringing them up, and this could be the challenge. So I'm gonna go to that same template. Let me go to I'm gonna do amplified. Amplified is usually pretty long. I'm gonna go to that's template is called big bold box or something like that. I think it's this one, big bold. That says big bold 2. Here we go, big bold box. All right, so I'm gonna turn that on. All right, so I got this one. So it's set to auto size. So if I turn that on and select a verse, I'm gonna double click. All right, so I got this verse here. I'm gonna go to the next verse. Oh wait, let me see. What is it? I gotta hit. Is it command arrow? Okay, command and arrow. Gotcha. Go to verse 5, verse 6. That one kind of flashed a little bit. I'm trying to see if I can find a short verse. Okay, there's one that's a little bit smaller, but you know what I did? I think what you're running into is you may have it set to where it's drastic changes based on the size. With these being an 80 size font, there's not a lot of change in the size because I made it to where the font size is not super big, but it's not super small. I made it bold, so it's really easy to read. And so for my template, if I go back and I edit this template and I make the font size for this big box for the scripture, if I made this be like 140, right? See how much bigger that is. Now it's going to automatically carry over to what I've got for my scriptures. And now let's see what happens with a big text like that. Okay. And so I've got that here and I'm going to go down to the next verse. It didn't jump too much. That's just the video. The video in the background jumped because it was transitioning. But even then, it's not doing a lot. It could be the processing power of your computer. I'm curious, what kind of computer do you have? Does it have a pretty good processor? I'm using an M1 Pro processor. That could be a part of it. Let's see here. He says, I can share a video of how it looks. Yeah, I think I had it like at 120. Yeah, and so your computer is going to have to process that. That would be my only guess as to why it may feel like it's glitchy to you, because you probably have similar settings to what I have. The templates are the templates, right? So I made this template up myself. I didn't make it available for free on my website or anything because it's something that anybody could pretty much make it because it was already one there. I'm sure. Let me see what I used. I think I just took it from this and just duplicated. When you see this little shield, it means it's a default one. So everybody's got these default ones. I just right click and I duplicate them and then I edit it how I want to. And that's how I got to this one. Right. And so when I right click and I go back to edit, I turn on auto size. I don't think by default auto size is on. It makes sure they don't run over, which I think is a very good thing to have on. But I would say I wouldn't make my text so big to where it's, I don't know. I just don't make the text that big anymore. I like it to be at a consistent level. I know most people, well, when I started doing it, I was making the text really big. A lot of people were complaining and saying, "Hey, Gary, I want the text to not change." And they were trying to make it to where they say, "Okay, I'm not going to turn on auto size." I wouldn't do that. I would actually turn it into I would convert your, so let's say I wanted to take this whole, I'm gonna right click and select all of Matthew chapter 5. I'm gonna right click and then select convert it to a show. Okay. Now it's bringing in that big box default template and I would convert it to a show and I would turn on split reference and have one verse per slide and then go here. All right. And I'm in the edit mode. So it looks like that, but it's automatically set right now to auto size. So it's not a big deal. But if I were not going to have auto size on, I would always convert all my scriptures to a slide or to a show. And then I would check. I would scroll down here and check and make sure nothing's running over if I turn auto size off. And that's what is the downside of it. But when you got the font size set to something like it is in terms of 80, there's not much variance in the size, whether it's a short verse or a long verse, which I like. Okay. Um, Let's see here. Yeah, I think I had like a 120. It's an older Intel, like i7, 8th generation. Okay. Another thing is I currently use the same template for both show and Bible. Probably not a great idea. Absolutely not a great idea. But here's the way to fix that. Because for your shows, you have a certain way you want it to look. And for your Bibles, you need a certain way for it to look because you're going to usually show a reference, right? The best way to do that is whatever your primary display is. Because Daniel, let me know, do you have more than one display you're showing this on, or is it just one output that you're just seeing one preview up here as opposed to what I've got like 3, right? Let me know how many outputs you're using. Because whatever outputs you're using, what I would do is I would make a style Okay, so I've got my outputs right now. I got my primary one here. Okay. And if I go here, the style is set to default. All right, let's see what the default style is. And I got default here. Right now, there are no overrides set for default. What I would do is, if you got yours set on default, it's pretty easy. You would just go to your override slide with templates. So this is all about your slides, how they look. You would do an override slide with template, and I would select whatever you want your default song lyrics presentations to look like, right? That's what slides are. They're just songs and presentations like notes or whatever. So pick one that doesn't have two boxes. Like this one's got a box for space for scripture and a reference. You don't need that. You just need one that's just a big bold. This one's got a yellow font that I made, right, with a box around it. You can customize these and make whatever you want. Creatively speaking, I'm not the most creative guy, but I got ideas and I know how to make this work. All right. So you said you got one audience and one stage. Oh, and you do have one live. Okay. That's cool. And so whatever your one audience display is, okay. Your audience display is what I'm on right now. I call it my primary, and I got a one in front of it because I want that to be the default preview. So I put a one because it does go in alphabetical order as to what you show. In FreeShow, it'll show you what the first output looks like. Okay. So I put a one on that one because I always want that to be the one I see first. Or what I see in my previews of all my shows. And so you would pick one. So you say, okay, for my presentations, I want it to be big, bold. All right. And then for my scriptures, I want those to always override to be big back box 2. And I'm gonna go to the one we've been using. What's it called? Big it wasn't back box, big bold. Big bold box. So I'm gonna go to that one. All right. And that's going to set the default for my scriptures every time when I am in my primary. So notice, look, it got really big. I got, well, actually, no, it didn't. Let's see. It's set that way because I changed that earlier. If I go to my templates and change that back from being 120, let's see here. We was in here. Big bold box. Let's edit. Okay, it's back down to 80. That's cool. All right. So if I go here, you'll notice it automatically adjusted. All right. So this is my scriptures. All right. So I'm showing my scriptures, but I'm going to put in a song. All right. And I'm going to get a song in my shows. Notice that this particular scripture has the reference down at the bottom, right? It's down there at the bottom, Matthew 5 and 6. All right. But if I go to a show that I've already got, and it's a song show, this is what that override slides is just for songs and things like that. Okay. So I'm going to drag in this song here. All right. If I preview this song, this is what it looks like, which that's fine. I'm going to go to one of the lyrics and notice there's no box for it for scriptures or anything like that. It doesn't get confused. And if I go back to a song, or not, sorry, back to a scripture, if I go back to Galatians, or not back, I was in Matthew. Let's go to Galatians. Check it out. It automatically goes back to my scripture reference and that. And so when you have an output, I would set up a style for that output to where they are consistent no matter what verse you pick and put it up for the audience to see. It's going to show that format. No matter what song you play, it's going to show that song format, all right, that you select. So I have different styles. I just currently use the same override template for both showing scripture, one text box. And if you don't have another one for reference, it shows the reference below. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that personally, but you can do that. I guess it's possible. I would just make it to where you have one specifically for your scriptures because you can customize that. You might want that font to be a little bit bigger or whatever it is. I would make it be customized. All right. But let's see here. But yeah, not like you asked, is it a great idea? I would say it's not a great idea to make those override to be the same. I would make them override to be a unique option because for your live stream, for example, what does it show? Does it show lower thirds or is it showing the same stuff as what you show in house? Would be my question. Because if it's showing the same thing, you really wouldn't need a separate output for it. My guess is you got some kind of lower third setup, right? So if I go back to my settings and I show you my outputs, this one is stream training. Okay, that's the style I'm using for my actually it's this one here. So live training 2 for my output here, I'm using a style called live training -2. So you got lower thirds. Okay. And I'm guessing, did you make up separate because lower thirds is a little bit different. Did you set up a separate style for those on your overrides? So this is the style I'm using for mines, and I got it set to where it's a lower third and the scripture lower third. And that's just there. I think it's there by default. Oh no, it's just there because I got my slides off. And so if I turn slides on, then I can adjust those defaults. You'll see that scripture come up. All right. I had it off for the live stream to not override. Okay. And so that would be, you would always want to make a lower third version of your slides that doesn't have two boxes, and then a lower third that does have two boxes for your scriptures. Okay. And those come default in the program now. You don't have to worry about having to go download them. I do have some on my website that are unique, like a transparent lower thirds. Every other one is pretty much there. You can do every. They got the double scripture already in the system built in, and then they've also got the white box with different color references. With text boxes just like at the bottom. Yeah, that's perfect. The way you got the live stream set up, I would do something similar with your primary, and just make it have a separate one for a reference, and that comes in handy. Especially if you're going to do multiple different Bible versions, for example, you want to set up like we talked about, or if you were on earlier, I don't know, but earlier we talked about Bible collections. And if you weren't on, when this is over, go back and listen to that. It was the intermediate discussion. It was just called Bible collections. And we were talking about how to set up more than one Bible at a time. And you need to have a custom template for that. And it's some in there built in default for 2 and 3 different versions, including for lower thirds, which is cool. All right. Oh, let's see here. Let's go back into the companion setup discussion. So like I said, Q&A, this is how the show goes, you guys. If you guys have questions, my goal is to address as many questions as I can. I got one more segment that I want to talk about after I get done with this advanced topic, and it's called Figuring Out FreeShow, where we're going to actually go into some questions that have been asked online on GitHub. So if you guys have ever used FreeShow and had a question or an error that you ran into or a bug you ran into and you wanted to submit a ticket for it, this is where the tickets end up. They go straight to the developer and anybody else that wants to be a part of that development team, and they can work on it, right? So we're going to go into that after I get done talking about companion. If you got time, stick around. I think it's going to be a really fun discussion because we're going to look at how they address the question and then see if we can recreate that problem and the answer as well. All right. So I got this overlay button. I've talked to you guys about how to format the button. Okay. First, you got to select the button. All right. Now it shows up all the defaults that I've created. Selecting a button over here does not make that button get pressed. It just makes it so you can edit it. Okay, so I'm not pressing the button. If I want to press the button, I would hit the test button up here and it'll actually test what that button does. But I don't have it doing anything yet. So I can go here to press actions. As I was saying earlier, the cool thing about Companion is that it allows you to control as many devices, platforms, or whatever you want to call it as you want to. So I can control FreeShow, OBS, an ATEM, which is a camera feed, potentially camera feed situation, a PTZ camera, all at the press of one button. I can talk to all those 3 or 4 different devices at the same time. All right. And so let's see how we do that. That's called the press action. All right. So I can go here and it's got a little drop down for me to select add an action. These are my recently used actions, but I'm going to go to the folder icon and it says, okay, remember we made those connections. All those connections I made over here on the left, they're all listed here. What do you want to make a button or an action for? If I go to FreeShow, it says, okay, what do you want? You want to change a variable? Maybe. You want to clear overlays? Maybe. Do you want to clear a slide or go to the next scripture verse? That's an option. Go to the next slide. That's an option. Next track. All these different options. You can run actions by name. So you might create a custom action and make that be a button in your companion program. You can go to slide or select the show by the name of the show. You can select the slide by its name. That's kind of crazy. Selecting the slide by the name. Wow. Select the slide by ID group. It gets more intense in terms of those things. I don't use those at all. But stopping active timers or start a timer by the name of the timer, that's a really cool feature to have. And you can do it at the press of a button on here. So let me go to my behind the scenes view so you guys can see my setup where my tablet is here so you guys can see that. Okay. So let's see, toggle overlays by index, toggle overlay by name. Video, you can seek to a certain time. That's cool. All right, now, and this is all free show options. I can scroll down. I can see, excuse me, OBS options. What if I want to do something in OBS, I can do that. And it gives you a whole slew of different things you can do in OBS. And these are all for one button, right? You can pick any of these for any button you want. So I'm going to do, I called it overlays. So let's do, it'll do a clear overlays. All right. So I'm going to change the name of it. Instead of just say overlay, I'm going to make it say clear. Okay. And so now I've got clear overlays as the name of the button. And what it does is that in FreeShow, it clears my overlays. All right. So pay attention to down below. All right. Those are overlays that say FreeShow with the date and the companion. When I test this button out, it should speak to FreeShow and clear those out. So when I press the button by testing it, it cleared them out. And that was me using a whole different program. I was not touching FreeShow, even though FreeShow has to be open, obviously, and it has to be on the network. But I could have done that same thing if I would have went to that same page on my tablet or even on your phone, I guess. You can do it from another computer. And the way you would do that is you would go to, I believe it's called Emulator, interactive buttons down here at the bottom on the left. And you can go to web buttons or emulator. I'm going to go to web buttons so you guys can see. So this is what it looks like here. And if I go to my settings, let's see here, maximum number of rows, pages, that's fine. I can scroll down and get to that page, okay? Because I'm on my computer, so I can just scroll down and I can go to that clear overlay. So let me turn on the overlay again. I'm gonna turn on Q&A. And then I hit this button on the web emulator, or yeah, this is the web buttons. When I click that, it now clears them out. You saw it down at the bottom there on my behind the scenes view, okay? So that's a good idea of a quick and dirty how companion can be beneficial, simply put. All right, let me see. We got some Q&A questions here. Let's go to those. Teresa Hooper's on. Good afternoon. Regarding the cloud sync question I asked about last week, it is working fine now. All right. Hey, that deserves some fireworks. We got to get some fireworks for that. Let's see here. Let's see here. It seems I need to run a backup, and then upload the JSON files to my Google Drive. So this to the second computer is my guess is what she's saying. Okay. Could see it. Many thanks to you and Christopher. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. Oh, so the second computer could see it. I see what you're saying, Teresa. Oh, wow. Okay. So basically what you did was you synced it up. You put the key in both computers. I think you said you did that already. Needed to run a backup. So you need to take the backup and then take it to their second computer, upload it to the second computer through FreeShow, and now everything is in sync exactly how you need it to be. Interesting and excellent. I'm glad that it got figured out. That's a note to self for me. I'm gonna make sure that we understand that and communicate that. And if Christopher, if you're on, I don't know. Christopher's not always able to be on, but he's a developer of this program, the founder in a sense. I'm just a part of the community, just like you guys are. So I love what he does with the program. He's a boss in terms of the way he is able to create a program that works so efficiently and so effectively. All right. I love it. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I'm glad that worked for you, Teresa. With BitFocus Companion, the idea of it is that you can control whatever you want to control. So I did the clear overlays, but I don't want to stop there. I also want to change my scene in OBS. All right. So I got FreeShow. I can click up there and it kind of shrinks that folder down. I'm gonna go to OBS and it's all kind of stuff in OBS, you guys. I don't use half of this stuff, but you might. Okay. So feel free to check it out. I'm just looking for what are these called? Scenes, studio source. Is it the scene? I can do a search up here. So I'm like, okay, program. That's it. Set the program scene. All right. That's what I want to be able to do. So in OBS, I want to set the program scene and it says, okay, since I've got it connected to OBS, it knows all of my scenes. So I can scroll through all the scenes that I've got and I wanted to clear overlays and I wanted to switch to, let's do screen, FreeShow split screen share. All right. So that's here. It's going to clear the overlays and it's going to do that at the same time. So now if I go to my buttons, I got the real button here. When I click that button, I'm going to be looking different here in a second, but it's really just going to take away the BTS and move me down a little bit, right? So I click that and that's what it does. cleared the overlays, and it took me to a whole new scene in OBS at the same time. This is, to me, it's a game changer for volunteers, right? For you to be able to have it so easy for people to be able to switch to different camera angles, different scenes in OBS. I wish I knew about this years ago when I was working and serving actively in multiple different churches as a media leader. And it was around, I'm sure. I just wasn't that savvy to know how to use it because the technology at that time that the churches had that I was working with wasn't up to that point, right? They didn't have iPads and things like that or a Stream Deck, but I could have just used a regular computer. I just didn't know it. Okay. And so now that I know this, I want to make sure you all are aware of it to be able to use this platform, this program as easy and as effectively as you possibly can. Now, the way it works is it is a program you download to your computer, and it's called, I don't know what it's called. Let's see here. Show hide window. It's called BitFocus. Let's see here. So it looks like this. And I downloaded it to my computer. I put in the IP address or the network interface, all that kind of stuff. Like I said, you can go to that setup video, and there's another video I found on YouTube that I actually used to set it all up. And then I just launched the GUI, which is the guided user interface, and it takes you into this page here to where now you can actually make a lot of changes to your buttons and stuff like that. All right. So just a quick and easy review of how it works. You can list as many actions as you want. Whenever you press a button, it'll do all those at the same time, like you just saw. Okay. What questions do you guys have about Companion? Let's see here. Yes, I agree with you, Dan. This is a good setup for a one-man setup. This is literally how I manage this show, this live stream that I do. So both presentations and cameras and such. Absolutely. So it puts all that together in one thing. I don't really switch cameras and stuff, but I do have a camera angle, I guess, behind me for that overhead, so I can tap at a tap of a button and switch. And you just saw me tap the button, and it switches over to a whole new scene, right? If you're managing or producing a show, remember at the beginning level discussion we had, I was talking about don't approach FreeShow as a PowerPoint slide replacement. It doesn't replace PowerPoint. It replaces PowerPoint with production stuff, with Bibles, right? So it's all those things combined, and it does it flawlessly as far as I'm concerned. And then you can pair it up with OBS, which is a streaming platform that combines scenes and sources and sends them out to the internet for me to do what I'm doing right now. And you can also combine it with Companion that allows you to make it all work all together in one. Okay. So that is a really cool feature, a really cool setup. Hopefully you guys like it as much as I do. Let's talk about figuring out FreeShow. All right. Now, this is a new segment. If you got to drop off, I know we've been talking for a little while, but check it out if you got time. This is going to be us diving into GitHub. All right. So if you ever been to GitHub, let's see here. You can go to this platform, and it's this GitHub, and it's .com/churchapp/freeshow/issues is what it is. But GitHub is a popular platform where people put up things for you to download and things like that. Okay. What they do here is, and then you can also submit tickets and things like that for questions or issues or anything like that. Here you'll see a bunch of open tickets. These are things that people have recently and or just actively have not had resolved that they've asked about FreeShow in specific, because we're on the FreeShow page for GitHub, which, like I said, is managed by or owned by the program called Church Apps that has a bunch of other church apps, okay, that are all free. Really cool stuff. Check them out. Church Apps. I think it's churchapps.org, I believe. All right. But what I want to do is I want to go to some closed tickets. All right. And this one says line backgrounds that fill around the text only. All right. Line backgrounds that fill around the text only. What is that about? It was a question that someone asked. So if I click on it, they say, hey, as far as I'm aware, the line background only fills the full width of the whole line. Would be an appreciated feature, especially for lower thirds. Also, if the background would max out the longest text line as shown. All right, so this is FreeShow, but in ProPresenter, it cuts off to be as long as the text. And they got two screenshots here of an example. All right, and then they got this one set to where it shows the length where it's matching the longest line. Okay. And this is Christopher. He says, hey, for that, you can just use a CSS input and enter background color black. Now this is advanced stuff, right? This to me is an advanced situation. When you start doing CSS, I'm like, I don't even know what that is. All right. And so he completed and closed that, and it is this is the answer. You just copy this out and you would pick the color you want it to be, and it's there. Background color, colon, and then black. And this is like, to me, it's coding that makes FreeShow so special. So you can literally get into some things that you can't really do on most other programs. Like you wouldn't be able to do that, I don't think, with Easy Worship or OpenLP or something. Put in some code and it automatically updates and does exactly what you need it to do. All right. So that's pretty cool. All right. There was another one in here. I'm gonna go back real quick. Camera on template with lower thirds, redrawing every slide. All right. So this is an interesting issue that's gotten closed. So it's gotten resolved. He says, or they say, I'm not sure if it's a lady or a guy, but it says, I've got 3 outputs, 2 of the outputs with cameras and 1 with slides with a moving background. All right. I've created 2 templates with 2 cameras. So 2 templates with 2 cameras, and they're connected to the computer with HDMI capture cards, right? You all may have used those. For me, let's see, if I go to this shot, I've got some capture cards. Let me unplug this. So this particular camera you're looking at right now is connected to my computer with this capture card. It can be this small. This is literally a capture card, and it's a HD audio and video capture. I think it cost me, I don't know, 10 or 20 bucks. I can't remember exactly how much it cost. And then I got another one back there, this big one, this black one up there. It's a capture card connected to this computer. Okay. And so you can have capture cards and they're connected. Now, the cool thing about them being connected is you can see those capture cards in FreeShow. So if I go to FreeShow and go to media and select cameras, this is the one that's right here that I showed you guys. And then this is my overhead down here at the bottom. This is the one that's behind me up top. Okay. FreeShow sees it. What I was showing you guys on, when you look at this shot here, this is actually an OBS. OBS is getting that feed as well from that same capture card. OBS is getting it, and FreeShow can see it because it's connected to my computer, connected to the same computer. All right. And so the way that it works is he's got his 2 cameras set up like that, and he made 2 templates. So let's keep reading. He's got 2 templates with 2 cameras. All right. Let's see here. My goal is to switch between the slides and the 2 cameras while showing the same lyrics on the screen. All right. The goal is to switch between between the slides and the 2 cameras while showing the same lyrics. Now he's saying he's trying to switch between them. I don't know that I understand that, because in my mind, at least, when you're switching, if they're on outputs, right? Because he said there are 3 outputs. 3 outputs to me means they're all showing simultaneously. Okay. Like in my FreeShow right now, I've got 3 outputs. I've got my main output, I've got live stream, and I've got my stage. Okay. And this is, I haven't talked to this person, so I'm not saying that what they're saying is wrong. I'm just saying I may not understand all these, but this is just figuring out FreeShow. This is what somebody actually asked, and the developer responded to it. And then there was a case, this case was closed. So there should be some resolution to this. But the problem is when showing them on the outputs, the output with the slides does not redraw the moving background, while the other 2 outputs with the cameras redraw the camera feed every time I move to the next slide. I checked the following threads, but did not resolve my issue. And so these are a bug. I have an image in my template which currently displays a logo. Every time I change the slide, the image is redrawn, meaning it flashes for a split second. All right. And then it says a workaround I found is to create a black image with a logo on the corner. All right. And apply it as the template background. Okay. And then backgrounds don't seem to be redrawn at every slide change, so it works. But this is a hacky workaround, not a solution, I believe. Images that are part of a template should not redraw on every slide. It's probably a waste of resources too. Yes, I made sure the image has no animations. Okay. So let's see here. Transition to output when none are selected. It says, is it better here? Okay. This is what an update. This is way back in 2024. He says the way slides work makes it redraw all the content because each slide is different, but there is an option to use overlays if it becomes an issue. They can be added as templates. They can be added to templates. I'm sorry. Okay. And so apparently the output style overrides the item transition when set to none. It should, but removing that fixed it. All right. This is just a conversation. So yes, do I need to do anything on my side or to fix the next? It says remove the output style transition. It's fixed. All right. So they fixed this, and the guy says this wasn't the issue. All right. He says, okay, not sure why it worked for me, but I'll probably release a 1.3 tomorrow with the fix. Okay. And so he said that's not what the issue was. So I'm gonna go back and go back to our original reference. All right. So he says I have removed the transition on the styles and on the template. And I also try setting them to none, but it's the same. I have updated to the latest version, but still the same. We have a service on Sunday or Saturday, I'm sorry, and we really need help on this as soon as possible. Thanks very much. All right. So this is what if you run into an issue with FreeShow, you can submit a ticket and it'll go directly to the development team. Now, if we scroll down, he says, hey, the fix. All right. So he was able to fix it. He said the fix was to disable and enable the output and the camera does not redraw anymore. Interesting. So to disable and enable the output and the camera does not redraw anymore. Interesting. So what he's saying is he's got a template that has 2 cameras and I started making one. So let me see. I've got a template here and I don't know where I made it. Is it under presentations? Songs? Nope, nope, nope. Let's just go to all. I've got a bunch of templates, you guys. And I don't even know what I named it. I was playing with it and I don't know if it's saved or not. But it would have my big head on it, I think. Let me see. Not that one. Okay. I didn't save it. Okay. That's cool. So let's make one. I'm gonna make it under songs. And we'll create a new template. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna call this one camera with lyrics. And so I've got that. And I think what I would do though, actually, I take that back. What I was gonna do is, let's see, where did it go? Camera. Okay, it's right here. So I'm gonna delete that. I'm gonna take one that has the lyrics the way I want. Okay, so I want it to be lower third lyrics. So I'm gonna go here. I got lower third songs. It's another option. And let's do transparent. I like that one. So I'm gonna duplicate one. I've got this transparent lyrics. You can get that on my website if you have not. It's completely free. I'm gonna duplicate this. So now I got transparent too. So I'm gonna right click and rename that. And I'm gonna call it transparent, lyrics transparent, and then I'm gonna say camera. All right. And this allows it to be consistent. Duplicating, if you've already got a template you like, duplicating that template and you want to make a minor change like this, like add a camera background, makes it easy to keep everything exactly in the same place it was. And now all I need to do is edit this one to say items. And I'm going to add in media. And then I go to the media and it gives me option to choose what the media is going to be. Actually, no, not media. I want it to be a camera. Sorry. Let's go back. Let's delete that. Let's go to items again and go to camera. I just jumped the gun. So let's go to camera. And now when I go to camera, it says choose your camera. That's what I was looking for. And it brings me that same menu that we had earlier. And I'll do this one. Actually, no, I'll do that. I want to do my webcam. I'll do my webcam because that one has got a little bit more. It didn't choose it. Did it move it somewhere? No, it didn't. Okay. So it says it's my FaceTime camera, but that's not my FaceTime camera. I'm gonna delete that and try it again. It didn't update when I selected my capture card camera the first time. So let's try it again. Oh, it might be because it has a filter on it. No, it's good. Okay. And so I got my FaceTime camera here. All right. And you guys can see up under my chin a little bit. And I want it to fit the screen here. Let's see here. Okay, there we go there. And I'm just trying to make it fit. There we go. So it's fitting and filling the whole screen. Now go to items, and we're going to reorder these. Okay. So if you go down to your items and go to the bottom, you'll see your text box is at the bottom, and I'm going to move it up to the top by just hitting this little arrow here. And so now my text is on top of my video. So he did that. And he said every time he would go to, so when showing them on the outputs, the output with the slides does not redraw the moving background, while the other two outputs with the cameras redraw the camera feed. And the weird thing to me is they redraw the camera feed. He says, I was thinking only the camera feeds as overlays. The lyrics should be like normal still. Okay, so he said, I'm glad you figured it out. Not sure how your templates / slides looks, but I recommend using overlays for this. But if it works for you, probably don't need to change it. And that's Christopher. That's it. Make it work, right? So he's saying, Christopher's saying, make it an overlay, which becomes even more interesting. Okay, so he says, yeah, I just thought of trying to disable and enable it, and it worked. With regards to using overlays, how would the lyrics be done? Sorry, I just started using FreeShow this week, and I'm a total noob. I tried using overlays before I figured out the workaround. Then I put in a text box. It just says the text I put on it and not show the lyrics on the slides. Thank you. So what he was thinking about was thinking only the camera feeds as overlays. So the camera feed itself. So let's go back in. If I go to my overlays, let's look at this another way. We're going to create one, and I'm going to put this one. Ooh, I don't have a category for it. Let's do, I'll make it under visuals. Okay. And then we'll do new overlay. And I'm going to call this one camera. All right. So I got this blank slate because I'm making a new overlay. I'm going to go to items. I'm going to select camera again. And I'm going to pick the same camera. And we're just going to see which one works best. And based on what Christopher said, it's this one. So I expect it to work great. I'll pull this down to fill the screen. Got that. So that's my overlay. Now, what we didn't read, and I think I read this earlier, he says, I see that. He says, but if I put the camera as an overlay, then the lyrics will be at the back of the camera and it won't be visible. Please let me know how I can do this. If possible, if the issue comes back and the re-enabling the output does not fix it. Thank you very much. And Christopher says, hey, you can right click on your overlays and toggle place under the slide. Now that's a boss move right there, to be able to know that part. That's the part where we might fall apart in terms of not knowing how this program works. So this is us figuring out FreeShow. So what Christopher says is make an overlay, right click on it, and then say place under slide. Boom. And what that does, based on what he's saying, I'm looking at you guys, right? What that does is he's saying it allows it to show your lower thirds on top, and you're switching cameras while you're in FreeShow. All right. Never done that. I always switch cameras in OBS. Okay. But you can switch them in FreeShow. I just never do it. Okay. So now if I go to show and let's go to settings. Actually, I'm going to do this one. I'm going to turn this one into my primary. I'm going to turn my primary into a default. Let me see what happens if I press this. Oh, it just does it. That's perfect. So I can turn on the overlay. It shows up over everything. You guys can see me and it's there, which is fine. I'm going to turn on the lyrics. You guys can't see this, but I'm going to turn the lyrics back on. Boom. And so this is what Christopher was talking about. And let's see if it glitches. I'm going to go to a song. Let's see here. The video doesn't glitch. I'm going through and it's working just fine. I can go back to some scriptures. Ooh-wee, this is nice. I like this setup a lot, you guys. I like it way better than even what I was about to try to do, okay? And so what Christopher's saying is you can turn on the overlay. Now, what the overlay does to me that I don't like is that it pops up over everything, okay? So let me see if I can show you guys this. All right. So what the overlay did was it showed, will it show up if I do this? Okay, full share. Okay, let's do that. So it's showing on my primary and on my live stream feed. Okay, it is over the top, or say over the top. It's behind both, as an overlay, which, like I said, I still like the idea of it. So this would be something I would recommend if somebody's trying to use cameras in FreeShow. This is a really cool way to get your cameras. All you got to do is make sure your camera's plugged up to your computer, which is pretty cool. Okay. Making sure your camera's plugged up to your computer is really all it takes. And so I'm going to turn this off and I'm going to just click on the overlay and it goes away, and I'll turn off my slides so we can see each other. Let's see here. Joel is on. Hey, would you be okay to do a video about how volunteers could access FreeShow at home while the church laptop is at church? We would love to edit our songs at home with our own laptops. So, Joel, that's a really good question. I love the idea. What I would say is my approach to that would probably be to make the songs there and bring them to the church and test them out on a thumb drive or something like that, or email them to yourself um, and do it that way. Because with your shows now, look, let me see. If I go to show, I think I can right click on the show. Let me see. No, I'm trying to think about what is it that I can right click on and export. You can export a whole project. That would be one way to do it. Export the project. Oh, so if I go to, let's go back in here. Okay. If I go up here to file, I think you can do, yeah. So export current project, selected shows, or all shows. So I can say selected shows, and then it gives you an option of how you want to export them. And then you can just send it to yourself in an email at the church. I would do a JSON because that's going to give it to you exactly how it's going to be in FreeShow. And then you would just go to your church computer and import it, right? Now this is not negating. I may make a video about it, but I want to give you some ability to understand how I would approach it. I would email it to myself to the church computer, or whatever it is, and that way access it from there. The other way you can do it, Teresa Hooper was talking about this for herself. Last week she'd asked about that, like syncing up between the computers at home and at church. And what you have to do is you go into, and I made a video about this one already, so you can go into your settings, and I believe it's not under connections. I always get, let's see here, where is it at now? That's Charms and Planning Center. I believe, let's see. Here we go. Files. Under files, you can go to cloud, right? And you can use the Google API service account key. And what you would do is you would create, so it gives you a walkthrough here of how to create a Google API key and all that kind of stuff. And you would click there to walk you through it from their website. And you would do that on both computers. Okay. Basically, you would set up the same key on both computers, and then you would set it up to sync. All right. And so for your syncing, let's see here. Where's that at? Auto save, auto backup, data location. Look, did I pass it? Let me go back. Okay. Backup everything, restore. Nope, nope, nope. Profiles, that's a new cool feature. That's not it though. I'm trying to make sure auto updates, alerts. Obviously, I don't do that very much. I'm trying to see where the sync option is though. But, oh, I remember last time we talked about this. So there's an option. Once you activate this, it'll give you an option to sync or to auto sync, I believe is what it's set up to. So it'll be on this page. And then you can also disable uploading data or enabling that. I would turn that on so you can upload from your computer at home. So on your computer at home, no, keep it like it is, right? So that allows you to upload, okay? And it'll be able to sync up that way. So that would be my recommendation. Two options. One is send it to yourself, and I would still probably send it to myself as a backup. Put it on thumb drive or something along those lines. Email is good. Thumb drives are good. Both of them even better. And then sync cloud. That would be a walkthrough that you would set up. Excuse me. There's a video that I made about it already. I think it's just called Cloud Sync. And I just said my response to it and my thoughts about it. And all I did was I just walked through the setup. Now it's not as it's not beginner friendly, the setup, I would say, not because it's not well instructed. It's very good walkthrough instructions. I just didn't know what I was doing. Right. I don't use Google APIs or anything like that. And so I felt like I was over my head because I made that video months ago. It might have been maybe 2 months in, 3 months into using FreeShow, and I was just like, I don't have a clue what I'm doing in Google, but it walked me through everything, worked exactly how it's supposed to. I didn't test it out on multiple computers because I didn't have two computers to test it out on. Actually, I think I did. I think I did test it out, but that's how you do it. They both have to be connected to the internet. They both um, need to be set up to sync, and so you would go to the church computer, sync it up, and it'll automatically sync up with whatever you did at home that way. Okay, great question, Joel. Great question. All right. What other questions do you all have before I let you go? It's been a few hours now. It's right at 2 hours, right? 11, 12, 12 to 1. So we're doing good on time. But hopefully you guys like that new segment, figuring out FreeShow, um, and or uh, the other topics that we had today. You guys had some great questions. I'm glad that Teresa was able to get helped out. We'll do more. I know there's a Facebook group. If you've been a part of that, I'm not necessarily involved with Facebook itself, but I do get to go in and try to read some of the thoughts and comments about FreeShow from there. But I don't engage too much just because I don't use Facebook. So I don't want to engage, and then people start asking me something, and I never come back because I don't use it very often at all. So GitHub, I do use. Reddit, I do use as well, and I'll check those periodically. GitHub, probably more so now than Reddit, but I used to check them pretty regularly, once or twice a week. Now I just check them randomly. But those were some good places to go and see what people are asking questions about. Some of the pain points, and one of the big pain points that people have on Facebook and anywhere, right? You all may have shared the same thing, is just figuring out how FreeShow works. It's just a different approach, right? And so I'm working on a video now that's going to talk about how to approach it from just a theoretical, practical perspective. It's not going to be more tutorial. It's going to be more just kind of talking head, just kind of giving you guys an idea of how it works, just talking through it. But I'm always open to hearing questions from a beginner standpoint about how it works, because for me, um, I'm a beginner in a lot of different things when it comes to FreeShow. There's certain things that I know and I'm comfortable with, and there's so many ways. Whenever you're using a program like as robust as FreeShow is, at least there's usually 2 to 5 different ways to do the same thing. And we just read that on GitHub, where the guy was saying he does this with he uses templates to make this, and Christopher says you can just use an overlay and accomplish the same thing. There's a lot of different ways you all are going to approach this program. My goal is to just give you a good idea of what it can do, and then you decide how you want to approach it. And then understanding that there's a lot of ways to do what you accomplish, and understanding that. And so for me, I might come up with one way to answer a question. Christopher may come up with another way. Somebody else on Reddit might come up with another way. Facebook, same thing. But the goal is to get it to work, to do everything you need it to do. And my goal is to help you get there and do it as efficiently as possible and progress. Continue to grow using this program day in and day out, because the more you understand it, the more fun you'll have with it. That's my take. The more fun you have with it, the easier it gets. Okay. So, and maybe the other way around, the easier it gets, the more fun you have. But for me, I like the learning part. And so when I get to learn more stuff, it becomes more fun. Okay. Um, awesome. Also, let's see here. Joe had another comment. I don't know if it's the new update, but when we plug the laptop to 2 HDMIs for primary and confidence monitor, lyrics seem to stop presenting unless you click multiple times to represent. That is weird. So you said, okay, so you got 2 outputs from your laptop for HDMI. So your laptop has, let me see, your laptop has 2 HDMI cables. That's crazy. That is really cool though. Um, my laptop doesn't have 2 HDMI, so I can't do that. If I did, I would have to use like an adapter, like a dongle. And I will say this: me and HDMI dongles do not get along. Well, I've got a MacBook Pro 16-inch M1 Pro, right? More than enough for what I need and everything I need to do with FreeShow. It does it well, but my dongle I do not like to use, honestly. So what I would recommend is you use something like this device here. Let's see here. Let me make sure I can see myself. Okay. So this device here is what I use, and it allows me to connect to my computer with just one HDMI port. I'm sorry, one USB-C port, and then I plug it up to USB for power, which is here. I made a video about this just this week, so check that out if you haven't. And it allows me to connect 4 different displays. And that would be my recommendation. It's a lot cleaner setup, a lot easier for me to manage, at least when I talk about how to make it work, because it's pretty seamless. It takes a driver to make it work on any computer, Windows or Mac. But that's been my solution for trying to get a confidence monitor and a primary monitor set up in the same space. And in that video, I walked through how to set it up. And it's pretty easy. It's a $100 device or $99 device, so just under $100. In that video, I got an affiliate link, so feel free to use that. It doesn't change the price for you. It just gives me a bit of a commission, I guess you could say. But when you're trying to do that, I have run into that problem with dongles, right? Like I've got a dongle right now connected to my computer. You guys can't see. So I've got a dongle here. Let me pull this back. And it's connected to HDMI, and I got it connected to a couple of hard drives, and it's got an HDMI port on it, but I don't use it because it would kind of flake out like that when I was outputting things. And it was just weird because sometimes I would unplug something from the main HDMI port on the side of my computer, and it would flake out and make those, they would just kind of compete, which is weird because it does support 2 displays. My laptop does, but I don't do it. I don't do it anymore. It just was too frustrating. Okay, so you said you have one HDMI and one dongle. Yeah, that makes sense. Yep. And so with that, yes, I have run into that same problem. No, I do not like it, and I don't recommend it. And I've got an Anchor dongle, which is a pretty reliable company. Like in terms of brand quality or brand reputation, they have a really strong brand for having quality devices. And I've used other ones, had the same problem. Use this one, same problem. So yes, that is something that, and it may just be. I'm not saying it's not FreeShow, but I think the demand that FreeShow puts on a device in the computer system, it just doesn't. It's not expecting that. Maybe I don't know. I can't speak to that, but the idea that I've come up with is this device. I found this watching a video on Max Tech's channel. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him, but he talks about all kind of gadgets and computers galore. And he talked about this because I had been looking for one for a client, for a ministry that I was working with, trying to figure out a way to do this. And I couldn't find anything that worked on Windows and Mac because they've got both types of computers. And at one point they were using Windows and they've switched over to Mac. And I just wanted something that was universal like FreeShow is. It works on both. That's my bread and butter. If I can find something that does that, I'm all in and I'll support it. Okay. And this does that. It works on both Windows and Mac, and it's seamless. Like I said, I've had it. I'm using it right now for my secondary display that is plugged into FreeShow, but I'm not even outputting right now. I just had it set up just in case I needed to use it for a display or test or whatever we want to call it. So, but yeah, good question, Joel. I would say yes, I've already made the video, but ultimately it's 2 videos. So the one you talked about, actually no. So this is 2 different questions. So yeah, check out the Cloud Sync video, and then the 2 HDMI thing. Check out the video from this week. I think it's called, I don't know what it's called. Let's see. It's called Extend Your Computer Displays. Okay. So this video here, it's got that display right there on the cover of it, so people can see it. Because like I said, I just support it. They don't, I mean, they give me a commission if you buy it, I guess, but I bought that with my own money. I just wanted to use it because it met my need. And I think it'll meet a lot of people's needs, especially those that are using FreeShow, like what you're running into. You've got access to show multiple monitors and show different things on those monitors. Completely cool until you realize, okay, how do I get this stuff out of my computer to those monitors, right? And if you can do it through OBS, I'm doing it through OBS all the time right now. I've got all 3 of these displays active, and they're all just virtual displays. I'm just sending them through. If I go to my outputs, I think they all have NDI on. So if I go here, right click and go to edit. So my stage training, actually NDI is off on that. So I'm not sending that to my OBS, but this one, if I right click on that and go to edit, it is, and it's a transparent window. And right now it's not even set to be an invisible window, but its NDI is on. And I can turn on invisible window and it'll be probably just fine because it's not going. I don't want to send it to any special output or device, right? This one, my primary, if I edit that one, it's an invisible window as well, right? So I'm not sending these out over this device right now. I'm literally just they're all virtual through NDI, connected directly to OBS, which is running on my computer, but it's connected through NDI wirelessly, right? Or through the network, I should say. All right, you guys, great questions. Keep asking them, like I said, in the community, on Facebook, on Reddit, on GitHub. Remember Command G, my best friend. look, when you think about Command G, think about Gary. That's me. But it's a really quick way to do some searches. And you can also, let me see, if I do Cloud Sync, you'll be able to find that video here. You'll be able to find the Cloud Sync video here. If you just type it in FreeShow, you'll be able to find that video right there. And if I click that, it'll take you. Yep. Right, so first of all, this is the video talking about it. This is my big head. So, but yes, that is the best way to sync all that stuff up. Okay. But Command G or Control G if you're on a Windows computer, I love that feature. It pops up, quick search, and it gives you resources on the internet, on YouTube, and on the website. This is the link to the documentation that walks you exactly through how to do the cloud sync. As for, let's see here, HDMI, I don't think that'll pop up anything. Those are just my shows, so it won't show up anything like that. Outputs. There are videos about outputs using MIDI, virtual outputs, and then they've got their documentation on the website for multiple outputs as well. Okay. But yeah, great questions, you guys. Have a great rest of the day. I will look forward to seeing you all next time. Thank you for watching this video. I really hope it helped you in a major way. Now, at this point, most people would ask you to like and I think that's great. But my goal is a little bit different. My goal is to empower as many people as possible all over the globe. And there's one way that you can really help me do that. And that is to leave a comment below with a question, a thought, how this video may have helped you, or things that were left out that you still have questions about, and to share this video with someone just like you. Someone who is looking for answers, someone who's curious to grow. With your help, I believe we can build a community of people that want to grow together.